Yo, what's up? Welcome to part 2 of the interview videos. Before we begin, I know in the last video at the start I said it was going to be all one video, but then I realized it was going to be way too long. As well as this splitting the videos, I've also had to cut out some of the interviews, either because they were too long or the audio being nearly unusable. Furthermore, I did cut Rose's interview down to the questions which were different to the other questions I was asking to the other PMs or engineers. However, I will be releasing a supercut where it has all the videos from the series smashed into one video like a big old movie. This supercut of sorts will also have all interviews within them too, and any interviews that will cut short. Following that, in this video I will include an explanation of what the interviews were for, a breakdown, so what that is it's going to be a breakdown of all questions with most of the common answers, etc. Then my thoughts on the results I've gotten, why I got them, or why I think I got them, how I think these results will be reflected in the observations in the next video. So that will include myself, the year 1 production manager, and the external production manager. And then finally, it will be a conclusion to wrap up this two-parter in one big bow. So in the last video, I interviewed around 8 people and allowed for them to share their thoughts and opinions to questions I asked. I realize it may be a bit weird now to have interviews during this project. The reason for this is so I can better understand fellow engineers and get a variety of answers so I can better compare them to my opinions and also what I observe in a later video. The reason for the different varieties of experience was also intentional. This was because I can then see and show you the audience what different levels of experience can do to the perception of what makes a good PM, if there is any at all. As well as this, the question of what makes me a good PM being asked to those who have seen me PM was so I can see what skills I have when it comes to the self-observation compared to the other 2 PMs. And so asking them this question acted as a skills audit of sorts. I don't think I need to exactly talk about this and break it down, but I will anyways. The reason for this was to showcase the different people I was interviewing and to showcase their different levels of experience. The reason for this question was simple. I wanted to put people in a scenario where they'd hypothetically have power and the ability to hire multiple different candidates, so they could tell me the one defining skill they'd look for or the USP they'd be most intrigued with. Out of the 12 overall people I interviewed, the most common answer that kept cropping up was people skills. Out of the 12 people I interviewed, 6 of them said they wanted to hire someone with good people skills. The reason for this is because practitioners and managers alike want to ensure that team morale and respect is carried throughout the production, and so production manager having people skills can ensure that everyone is comfortable with the gig, and it also means that the production manager can give everyone feedback and ideas without causing upset. The other 6 people's answers were as follows. 2 said leadership, problem solving, and adaptability to technology. 2 said personal attitude to the work, punctuality, and open-mindedness. 1 said organization, and 1 said communication. This showed to me that whilst there is a common answer that is people skills, it also showed to me that other practitioners within the industry prefer more managerial skills and technology side of skills as well as experience. Out of the 6 who said people skills, 4 of them had at least 5+ years of industry experience, whilst the other 2 had a couple of years. I personally think this shows that more experienced practitioners prefer someone who has better communication, social, and people skills, or at least they would if they were in the position of a hiring team for a gig. Whilst the other 6 people decided to say something to do with technology or the overall production side, out of these 6 who said that, only 1 of them had more than 5+ years experience. So this gives me the idea that those with less experience would prefer someone who is more technologically minded and not really someone with social skills. However, this might not be the same for every practitioner out there. That's just what I've seen through these interviews. So during this section, I asked the interviewees what the biggest downfalls within a PM are. I expected that this question would be like the last and have a clear split of answers, but that wasn't the case. I got a lot of questions which appeared to be different, but after looking into it, can be grouped together. If you can remember from my skills video, I talked about the skills within the industry and how they can fit into 3 main categories. These being technical, transferable, and managerial. So that I could make my job easier whilst compiling answers from this question, I decided to put them into said categories, as some people basically said the same thing but worded it differently. So within the technical group, I had 2 answers. One was a PM who was not technically minded enough, and the other being a PM who can't operate on all forms of production to a basic level. Within the transferable skills group, I had 6 answers, which were stubbornness/closed-mindedness twice, being able to think under pressure, not having the respect of the team, fixing things that don't need fixing for the sake of change, and not being present to the whole team. Then finally, in the managerial skills group, I had the remaining 4 answers, which were control of the team, taking too much on, micromanagement, and not allowing the team full control. This shows to me that people believe that PMs have less skills within the transferable section. Granted, some of them can be counted as social skills, but I'm grouping them into transferable skills due to things such as communication. Whilst they could go into depth about each skill and why I think it's present in this downfalls category, I'm not going to. But these results showed to me that people believe most PM's downfalls are within the transferable and managerial skills groups rather than the technical skills group. These results compared to the first question are similar, and therefore I'm going to say that whilst people do appreciate a PM with technical skills, they'd still prefer someone who is socially and managerially able. As well as this, I'd like to mention that I think these things that I'm finding in these breakdowns will also be visible in the observation videos. So things such as the social skills, so having respect of the team or something along those lines, I think they will be the downfalls I will see in the observation videos, especially with the PMs at a lower level. So me, maybe, and possibly the year 1 PM. Whilst I expect the PM who's been doing it for a while and has, a few years of experience, I expect them to have all those skills nailed down with a few downfalls here and there. So in this segment, most of the answers were pretty cut and dry once you boil them down to their basics. It should also be noted that a lot of these answers are what I expected, and you see what I mean by the end. So most of the answers within this question were the same, so this segment will be short, but the breakdown of this question is as follows. I had 9 answers out of 12, which was some form of yes, whether they were phrased as preferable or it would help, something along those lines, I counted them as yes. The other 3 were obviously a no of some kind, or a not necessarily no type of answer, but it's still a no at the end of the day. This showed to me that whilst most engineers and PMs would prefer their colleague/active production manager to be from a tech background, it doesn't mean that they need one. This corresponds with what I said in my skills video about a PM needing some form of technical ability so that they can help out during planning, setup, and the actual production. The manager will need these as during an event there will more than likely be an issue with some form of equipment, even if everything was working previously. That's just how gigs are. But anyways, a manager will need this so that they can help their team in any way possible. As well as this, it is useful if your PM knows the tech side of the industry, as it means they can help during the planning phase and give suggestions for microphones to use or a certain way to run lighting. This can be helpful for multiple reasons. For example, helping the design of where to put equipment or what equipment to use, to troubleshoot during a setup, or even operate during the actual event. It's not needed, but it is a useful skill to have, and one that most people would be keen on you having as a production manager. This question was the one question where everyone pretty much agreed on the same answer. Some people may have worded it differently, but at the end of the day, it was still some form of it depends on the situation, or the PM should be able to suggest but not take over. I'm actually glad that everyone agreed on the same type of answer. It means when I look at what the answers mean, it's pretty simple to answer and write. So obviously, there's not much point for like another pie chart like I've done in the previous breakdowns, but I'll do one anyways. 12 people out of 12 said a PM shouldn't take over the design choices, but should be able to suggest ideas. Wow, look at that. What a simple pie chart. Anyways, the fact that everyone answered the same shows to me that people would prefer if the PM has knowledge about the designs the team have, and if the final outcome of the gig hits what the client wants, so that the PM can ensure that the gig stays on brand, and also to ensure that the equipment being used in the designs will work and won't cause any issues. I think most production managers already do this, but I can see how some PMs don't do this due to the previous downfall which was mentioned of micromanagement and not giving the team full control. So I've gone through the breakdown of each answer and shown you what people would prefer to have in a production manager, or at least, the people within the small sample size I have. But I want to go through how these will be reflected in the observations in the next video. This won't be an in-depth look in how they'll be reflected, but just a nice simple, hey, I think this will happen and this won't. So for the year 1 production manager, I believe that the social side might be lacking in terms of respect and control of the team, and also be lacking the skill within management, but not in the documentation side, more of the time management and organization side. I think that within my own observation, I'll be lacking the skills of thinking under pressure, so this is a transferable skill, which I believe I have, but only to a minuscule level. In the external production manager's observation, I believe I'll see nearly all skills within them, but at varying levels. One possible skill I can think of is allowing the team control and letting them to get on with it, especially within the design side of things, as high-end events will need a tighter grip on what gets through to the actual setup, as it will have to follow the client's brief/desired outcome more. So in conclusion, I think that my skills needed video has now been backed up by this video, and shows that not only I think a PM needs the aforementioned skills, but also other practitioners do too. Hopefully in the next video, I will talk about how I observe 2 PMs work, including myself, and then see if our skill sets line up with those mentioned in the series. In this video, I've gone through the answers given to me, and I talked about who said that, as well as describing what I think will happen in the next video, which will be my observations video, obviously. I hope this 2-part wasn't too long to watch, but I had to split it up, but it was fun making, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, I guess.